I'm the happiest person I know in the entire planet because I decided to look at every single situation that I have in life and choose the positive perspective. Most people don't do that. Most people decide to look at the negative perspective and they don't even see a positive perspective. They don't even look for it to try to use it in the first place. They're just always looking for the negative perspective and that's what they're using. So in this video, I'm going to explain three questions that I really thought about and three questions that I wanted to talk about and that could change your life. So let's head straight into it. Number one, what is life? I wrote down simple answers to every single one of the questions, then I'll do a deep dive into it. So, what is life? My simple answer, it's a lot of situations. It's a bunch of situations that you're placed in, situations that you can't change, situations that you can't manipulate. It's just a situation that you're thrown into. And most people see that type of situation and they instantly think to themselves, my life could be over, this could ruin my entire life. But they never try to think that this situation could change their life for the better instead of changing it for the worse. So, if I'll do a deep dive on this, yes, life is a bunch of situations. That is true, completely true. And yes, you can't change those situations. But what you can change is the way you choose to perceive those situations. So imagine this. You're put in a situation and you're kicked out of your house. So you become homeless. You can either choose to perceive this as a negative and oh I got kicked out of my house, now I can't do the same things I was doing in my entire time in the house, or you can choose to look at it as a positive. I got kicked out of my house. Now I'm homeless. Now I need cash. So it's one of the best motivators to becoming rich, to becoming a millionaire, right? If you're homeless, you're gonna be so motivated and you're gonna have so much drive to becoming rich. You know that. So that makes it a positive, right? So now you're placed in a situation. Yes, it's the exact same situation, but person number one would look at that situation and he'd say, no, that's an insane negative. I don't want to be kicked out of my house. I don't want this to happen. I hate my life. Person number two would look at it and say, yeah, something unfortunate happened. But I can choose to look at it as a positive, and I'll actually end up gaining more than I'll end up losing. Get the point? Now you choose to change that situation. The situation itself hasn't literally changed. You just chose the way you perceived it. And that changed the situation as a whole. The second question I really wanted to answer is, what is positivity? Since this whole channel is about positivity, and people still don't understand what it really means, even though it's so simple, I decided to explain it in a whole question right here. Simple answer, it's choosing to look at the bright side of things. It's choosing to look at the bright side of the situations that you get in life. So that's exactly what it is. It's choosing to look at the positive instead of the negative. Like I said in the last question, life is just a bunch of situations, and it's a bunch of questions that are left unanswered. But if you actually look at those questions and at those situations and at those problems, and you decide to look at them in a positive perspective, you'll end up being happier throughout your entire life. And what's funny is, you'll actually end up answering most of those questions, and you'll end up getting positives out of most of those situations. Positive that you never thought about before. And that's the problem right now. Most people are stuck in friend groups or are stuck in social groups overall that are all negative because one person is negative and that latches onto the other people. You know how a virus spreads? When a virus spreads, one person can get a virus, and if that person is too close to other people, that virus can spread throughout them, like something that's gonna latch onto you. So, negativity and positivity are the exact same thing. Whenever you see someone positive, you'll see a bunch of people that are always around them. People that will keep huddling around them because they are attracted to that positive energy. You know how it's always the South Poles are attracted to the North Poles and magnets? It's the exact same way. Opposites attract. So when negative people see a positive person, they're attracted towards that positive person. And there are so little positive people in the entire world. That's why I myself, when I see negative people around me, I am always pissed off. I'm like, why are those people always looking at life in such a negative way? Their life could be way better, but they choose to look at it in the negative manner. That's why I created a community called Social Media of Positivity. Link in the description. Trust me, it will help you out. Because I know you will, if I know you'll like it if you watch this type of video. Anyways, heading on to the next point. So now that I've answered what positivity is and how it affects life and how it affects the situation that you get in life, I wanted to ask another different type of question. The opposite, basically. What is depression? If positivity is choosing to look at the positive side of things, I ended up saying vice versa, then depression is looking at the negative side of things, right? I realized it was something similar to that, but it's not exactly that. Depression isn't looking at the negative side of things, it's not even seeing the positive side of things. Get the difference? Like choosing to be a positive person is seeing both answers in front of you. Seeing that you can choose a positive and you can choose a negative, and choosing the negative. That's the negative type of person, and the positive person would do the opposite, vice versa, choose the positive. But being a depressed person isn't choosing the negative. It's not even seeing the positive. Get my point? It's different because that negative person has chosen all the negative choices throughout his entire life to the point that now he doesn't even see positives. Positives aren't even an option in his mind. They're just negatives. And so that person's life is so sad. I realized, and then I thought to myself, that person's life is gonna end up being so miserable. He can't even see the positives. How does someone like that change? It's by looking at every single situation so deeply to the point that he'll end up finding, because come on, let's be real. Every single situation in life has a positive and has a negative. Sometimes the positives aren't great. Sometimes the situation, you don't get a major positive outcome out of it. But most of the times you'll probably find that. But a lot of times you'll also just find a small positive and a huge negative. You can still choose to look at the positive, even though the negative is bigger. The problem is that depressed person only sees positives that are so small to the point that he doesn't even find them significant, to the point that he doesn't even recognize them. He doesn't even recognize them as positives in the first place. He just sees them as something that's not there. He just only sees the negatives and he never looks at the positives. That person lives the life that is so miserable. It's so miserable. Because imagine living life and not being able to be happy and not being able to be grateful about anything that comes your way, because you're always sad and you're always thinking that you're presented with the worst situation possible and you're put in the worst situation possible and you're only looking at the negatives. That person attracts negative people, and that's why I find it so important. I find it extremely important that you and other people like you, after seeing this point and after realizing that positives is basically the only way to actually find happiness in life, all of you make a group together. But the problem is not a lot of people can find each other, because the positive people are so minimal and they're spread so thin across the entire world that most positive people aren't clustered together. So I decided to make a community, and I call it Social Media of Positivity. It's basically the exact same thing as social media, but it's for positive people. Instead of it being scrolling every single second, not being able to focus on any task, or just looking at random entertainment videos to just skip your time and pass your time, now you're actually huddled around positive people and people that will help you in every single situation that you come across. I think this community is one of the best communities in the world because, one, you're basically the only person in the community right now if you enter. Do you get what that means? A lot of people see a community with 0 members or with 1 member and they tell themselves, oh, that's probably a bad community. But you don't understand. I'm telling you, if it's just 1 person inside the community, I won't be talking to a bunch of people. It'll basically be a one-on-one. And do you realize the value of that one-on-one? Do you realize the value of a friend that will always be with you? A friend that will be stuck with you, and a positive friend at that. Not just any friend that will be stuck with you. You might enter this community and in the future someone will join and that person might be your best friend for life. You don't even know. And that if that person joins, he'll end up becoming positive, if he's not positive already. Do you understand? That's why I preach this community so hard and I give my heartfelt advice into this community, because I know people really need this advice and this advice changes lives. And that's why, from the bottom of my heart, I know that if you like this type of content and you've been watching till the end of this video, I know that you'll gain so much from this community. It'll just be a waste not to enter it. So again, I'll tell you, the link to this community is in the description. I'll be waiting for you in there. And I'll see you in the next video.